In 2023, I was 26 years old and had been married for 3 years. I thought we had built a solid life together, a life full of shared routines and quiet promises. My wife was 28, warm, familiar, someone I believed I could trust completely. One afternoon, she told me her childhood friend was in town. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and keep watching, because the best part's coming up next. "He's just visiting for a short while," she said with a smile that seemed too casual. "I really want to catch up. You don't mind, right?" Of course I didn't. Why would I? I encouraged her to go, told her to be safe, even felt glad that she had a friend she could reconnect with. But then one meeting turned into two and then into six within the span of 2 months. Each time she brushed it off like it was nothing. When I asked about him, she said, "Oh, he's a traveler." As if that explained everything. A traveler. A man with no roots, no responsibilities. Someone who could leave whenever he wanted. And yet somehow he had time to keep seeing her. That word stuck in my head. Something about it unsettled me. One evening I told her, "I'll drive you when you go to see him next time." Her reaction was instant, almost frantic. "No, I'll go alone," she insisted, her tone sharp, defensive. That only made my suspicion stronger. I ignored her protests and drove her anyway. For the first time, I saw him in person. I shook his hand, looked into his eyes, and every instinct in me screamed that something was wrong. It was that deep gut feeling you can't explain but can't ignore either. I couldn't help myself. I followed them afterward, shame gnawing at me but curiosity stronger. I saw them kiss, bold and unashamed, and my heart sank into silence. I didn't explode in anger, didn't shout or cry. I simply drove home, numb, carrying the weight of betrayal like a stone pressing against my chest. When she returned later that night, I asked her directly, "Did you cheat on me?" She denied it at first, building lie upon lie, but after half an hour of arguing, she finally admitted the truth. I didn't shout. I didn't sob. I just looked at her and thought, if I show her my pain, she wins. If I crumble, she gets the satisfaction of seeing how much power she has to destroy me. So I remained calm, my face expressionless, and told her nothing more. She seemed almost confused, as if she had expected me to fall apart. Instead, I packed a bag and moved out for a week. She called and texted endlessly, begging me to come back. She promised it would never happen again, pleaded for forgiveness, swore she loved me. Eventually, I returned, but not without setting a condition. "I'll forgive you," I told her, "but only on one term. I get to sleep with someone else whenever I choose, and I don't have to tell you when. If you can accept that, then we move forward." Her lips trembled. She hesitated, but in the end she agreed. "Here's the truth. I never planned to cheat. I had no desire to stoop to her level, but I let her believe I would." For the next 2 years, she lived in quiet dread. Every time I stayed out late, every time I left my phone face down, every time I didn't answer immediately, she was left wondering, was this the night? Is this the moment he betrays me back? Meanwhile, I worked silently in the background. I transferred my assets to my parents, moved money into my sister's account, and slowly prepared myself for the day I would walk away. She never noticed. For 2 years, she lived in fear while I lived in quiet preparation. Then in April, I asked for a divorce. In the lawyer's office, she stared at me, her eyes wide and wet. "Why? Why now?" she demanded. I met her gaze and said simply, "Because you cheated on me." Her face twisted with outrage. "You cheated too! That was the deal when you forgave me." I leaned forward, calm, deliberate. "I never cheated." not once. I decided the moment I moved out 2 years ago that I would never forgive you. Everything I did since then was preparing for this. I let you believe I would betray you, but the truth is I already had, by refusing to give you the forgiveness you thought you earned. Her mouth fell open, her skin pale as the words sank in. I watched the realization strike her the way it had struck me when I saw her kiss another man. For the first time, she understood. Now I live in an apartment with my sister. For the first time in years, I feel free. The nightmare is over. Happiness, real, untainted happiness, is mine again. Like what you see? Click like, hit subscribe, and stay tuned. Let's keep going. But betrayal comes in many forms. Another young woman once shared her story. She was 24 when she found out her boyfriend of 4 years had been cheating on her for more than a year. Their relationship had begun in college, full of excitement and connection. When he graduated and moved 16 hours away, they decided to try long distance. It was hard, but they managed. They called constantly, FaceTimed, made plans for the future. By late 2023, he was telling her, "I'm going to move to your state. We'll get married, start our lives together." Those were the words of commitment, of forever. But behind those promises, he was already living a double life. One day in early 2024, she noticed her texts wouldn't go through. She checked his Facebook profile, and there it was. In a relationship since January. Not with her, with someone else. Her heart stopped. 4 years of her life, erased with a single status update. She reached out to the other girl, carefully gathering evidence, screenshots, and messages. She expected anger, maybe heartbreak. Instead, the girlfriend replied coldly, "I already know who you are. Don't message my friends again." It was like being stabbed twice. Not only had he lied, but the woman he lied with dismissed her existence, as if 4 years of love and memories were nothing. Still, she tried to explain. "He met my family. He asked me to apply to jobs near him. He told me he wanted to marry me. Not everything was a lie, but the other girl ignored her. So she blocked them both, walked away, and promised herself never to look back." Later, she discovered the girlfriend had broken up with him too. Lies always unravel eventually. And though she was heartbroken, she finally had closure. Not from his apology, but from her decision to leave. Betrayal doesn't only come from partners. Sometimes it comes from family. A man once told the story of his brother's betrayal, one that cut so deeply forgiveness was never possible. When he was 22, he was in a near-fatal accident that left him fighting for his life. His girlfriend of over 5 years, Jessie, was at the hospital. His older brother, Cameron, was there too. While he lay broken and helpless, Jessie discovered she was pregnant, and with Cameron's help, she terminated the pregnancy. Soon after, the two of them began an affair. His sister caught them and forced them to confess. Jessie admitted it eventually, acting as though they could work through it, but he ended the relationship on the spot. Cameron tried to shame him for refusing to forgive, but he cut both of them out completely. Years later, Cameron showed up again, demanding closure. He claimed his children were asking questions, that they needed him to be the loving uncle. But the betrayal was too deep, too raw to ever heal. "I'll never forgive you," he said firmly. "You don't get closure. You don't get comfort. You chose this years ago. Live with it." His parents begged him to reconsider, saying it would be easier for the family, easier for everyone. But forgiveness is not something that can be forced, not when the wound has never closed. What ties these stories together is not just the act of betrayal, but the aftermath. It's the way love turns into something sharp, poisonous, almost unrecognizable. It's the way people who once promised to cherish you become the very ones who destroy you. Some respond with revenge, others with silence, others with complete refusal to ever forgive. And that's the truth no one wants to admit. Forgiveness is not owed. It is earned through repentance, through change, through effort. Without those things, forgiveness is nothing more than pretending. And pretending is just another way of betraying yourself. So when someone looks you in the eye after tearing your world apart and begs for closure, you have every right to say no. Because closure isn't theirs to demand. It's yours to claim when you finally let go, walk away, and choose freedom over chains. Honestly, stories like these remind me how complex and painful betrayal can be. It's never just about the act itself, but about trust being shattered and the long road to healing afterward. I believe forgiveness is deeply personal. No one should ever feel pressured to forgive before they're ready or if they don't truly want to. Sometimes walking away is the bravest and healthiest choice. What really matters is reclaiming your peace and knowing your worth, even when it feels impossible. If this story hit home or made you think, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe so you don't miss more real-life tales like this. And I'd love to hear your thoughts. Have you ever dealt with betrayal or forgiveness? Drop your story or opinions in the comments below. Let's support each other.